Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it's Mike here at Gamefromscratch, and today we have more news on the Unity front. And to be honest, I think from a Unity developer perspective, this is good news, because I know a lot of you people think that this is probably the devil incarnate. At least after John Riccitiello, the devil number 2 is who we are talking about today. But first, a little backstory. Unfortunately, just a couple days back, yesterday, they announced that they were doing massive layoffs at Unity. 25% of the workforce was being cut as a part of focusing on their core businesses, company reset, they called it. We are reducing the number of things we are doing in order to focus on our core business and drive our long-term success and profitability. Now, when I said that in this following video, which, by the way, if you want to check it out, is available, I will have it linked down below. But when I said it in the video, I was a little worried about what does Unity actually define their core business as. To most of us, we think of them as a game engine company, but their biggest revenue source is actually from like analytics and Unity ads. And on that, we get to today's topic because, well, it seems like as part of this reorder, the IronSource founders are out in a major executive reshuffle at Unity. So IronSource is the analytics and ad part. Unity had its own division in that regard, but they merged with IronSource a while back. IronSource is kind of probably slightly unfairly referred to as that malware company, but IronSource doesn't have the greatest reputation, at least among game developers. So a lot of people have thought that the lead of it, Tomer, was kind of like one of the biggest problems at Unity. So to have him out as an executive, between him being gone and John Riccitiello being gone, well, you know how people always say, well, why don't the executives ever pay the price here? Well, the executives are paying the price here, sort of. Unfortunately, he is still going to remain around as part of the board. So let's go through this article. This is coming from mobilegames.biz, who have been strangely accurate with game development reporting lately. So all of IronSource founders are leaving Unity in the next 6 months after a reshuffle at the top of the company. I actually think that beyond everything else, that is the best news, because if all of the people in that space think that this isn't a company focused on what we do anymore, that means maybe they actually are focusing on the game engine side of things, which I would love to hear be true. So anyways, all of IronSource founders are leaving Unity in the next 6 months after a reshuffle at the top of the company. According to an internal email obtained by them, IronSource founders Tomer Bar-Zeev, Omar Kaplan, Ayla Milrad, Arnon Harash, Tamir Karmi, and Asif Ben Ami. And if I brutalized all of those, I apologize. Number one, I'm not good with other people's names. Number two, I have a cold right now anyway, so I sound weird as it is. But if I butchered the names, I apologize. Well, they're all leaving after a 6-month transition period. This will mean new roles for Mark Witten, Felix Nadav Ashkenazi, and Giancarlo Fazzo. Again, I apologize. That was even more brutal round of naming. Now, I do find this weird because Mark Witten was the head of Create, which is already the Unity business. So he will now be the Chief Product and Technology Officer for Unity's Create business. So I don't know if that's a promotion or not. Mark was already pretty high. Unfortunately, Mark was actually the guy who had to fall on his sword for the whole runtime fee, even though I think the people behind the runtime fee were more like your John Riccitiellos and your Tomar. But he's going to be in charge of Unity. They will be appointed SVP Product and Technology for Grow. Nadav Ashkenazi will be promoted to SVP and Chief Revenue Officer for Grow, and Giancarlo Fazolo will be promoted to SVP of Aura, which will be run independently from Grow. Jules Schumacher will continue as her role of SVP and Chief Revenue Officer. Now, it's a little weird that they've got multiple Chief Revenue Officers, but okay. A company-wide email sent by Unity interim president and CEO Jim Whitehurst earlier today states that the changes are designed to help the company bring legacy Unity and legacy IronSource people and culture much closer. Changes are also intended to reduce management layers and improve coordination in the organization, the email says. And this, again, is interesting because, man, this is one of those comments I got a lot. And you know what? It's completely fair when it comes to these layoffs. It's always the worker bees that get canned. It's never the people at the top. Well, it's possible we have an exception here. Whitehurst continues, we believe that we have a tremendous opportunity to drive even greater success for our customers by eliminating the GM layer, or general management layer, and moving to a flatter, more functional state. So, yeah, that's good. Hopefully this is actually what happens. Makes it a more agile, nimble company with a lot less middle management. I actually know a fair number of people at Unity and the people that are doing the work. They're good people. I've met a number of them, and I've actually met a number of executives that are actually quite nice people as well. But I do hear a repeated complaint about the middle tier and like that management obstruction. Now, nobody likes middle management in any company ever, so that's a universal complaint, but it's one of those things I've definitely heard about inside of Unity, that this multiple layers and multiple reporting structures, especially probably doubled up with the merger of IronSource, have been getting in the way. So going to a flatter management structure, definitely good. A change like this is not only structural, it's cultural. Across the entire organization, we will need to come together and intentionally think through what type of team we want to be in order to reach our full potential. To that end, we will soon kick off an initiative to redefine our mission, values, and behaviors that will bring them to life. This process will bring us all the opportunity to shape the culture we want as a company together. I know this has been a particularly difficult week and a lot to take in. While changes like these are challenging to move through, I believe this reset is essential for us to do now, and it's setting us up to succeed for many years to come. I will continue to keep you updated. Separately, an SEC filing confirmed that IronSource co-founder Tomar Bar-Zeev sold 37,500 shares yesterday, worth about $1.4 million. To be honest, that's pretty much peanuts. The guy has a lot of shares in the company. Today, exec reshuffle follows the news that Unity would be cutting 25% of its staff. We already covered that part. Unity merged with IronSource in July 2022 in a landmark deal worth $4.4 billion and has had a turbulent time since. In September, it announced a widely unpopular runtime fee policy, which led to many developers organizing and joining a Unity boycott later that week. Part of the motivation behind the runtime fee policy was to force developers into Unity's level play mediation platform, which is IronSource, in a bid to kill off AppLovin, we were told. Now, that is a little bit on the speculative side. I actually covered it back in the day as well. So Unity screwed up. There's no question Unity screwed up. Unity screwed up a lot in the last couple of years. But realistically, if you had told me that the outcome from the runtime fee fiasco would be that the IronSource part would be de-emphasized, the IronSource founders would all be kicked out, and John Riccitiello would be fired, you know what? They screwed up. I will not deny that in the slightest. But I think they have done everything right since. So the runtime fee still exists. It's in a vestigial format. That's not great, and that's going to drive. But now it is not retroactive, so it's going to be Unity 6 and forward. And then you're like, well, you got to earn back our trust. And earning back trust is definitely going to take time, but one of the ways you do it is by getting rid of the idiots that made things bad. And Riccitiello's gone, and now Tomar's gone, and all the other people from IronSource are gone as well. Now, again, I don't work inside of Unity. I have just heard people talk about it, and the IronSource people keep getting fingers pointed at them that they were the people, that they were the reason why things have become what they've become. And yes, we're going to probably hear even more now that all these people will be out. It's going to take 6 months, unfortunately, so it's not going to be immediate. And sadly, still 1,800 people are going to lose their job. But I have a strange feeling, though, that that's going to be heavily focused in the IronSource part of the world, just because of this announcement. Again, that's pure speculation on my behalf. So once again, they merged with IronSource back in 2022. So many things that happened under Riccitiello. After they went public, and I made the mistake of saying that the free market doesn't work. And that was kind of an overly hyperbolic statement the other day. What I meant to say by that is the incentivization of public companies doesn't work. So basically, all the people that invested in Unity pre-IPO, well, they've sold off. They made all kinds of money. Unity peaked at $200 a share at one point in time. Although those venture capitalists and early investors and all that, they've made their money. They don't give a damn at all anymore going forward. They've vested out. And then what it leaves you with is just a company that isn't focused on being the best company can be, but instead of a company focusing on share price. And that's where John Riccitiello and Omar kind of kick in. And the nice thing is those people are now gone. So yeah, I do think obviously that going public for Unity was a bad thing for them. All kinds of bad things have happened since. But this is definitely a step towards fixing it, at least in my humble opinion. But I'm curious, what do you think? With the combination of IronSource being excised out from the company, at least the IronSource leadership being excised from the company, and John Riccitiello being gone, do you think that Unity is in a good position now? Let me know what you think. Comments down below, and I will talk to you all later. Goodbye.